I can see it from their perspective as well. Like I can empathize why.
Player itu ternyata lebih milih main ke tim lain terus.
Okay.
Well, the most important thing is just GI, right?
Of course.
All right, John, that's for the lower division. And now we're talking with the big bad division of the Southeast Asia, the team that's expecting as a top the top seed, and also team that kinda just play our slot lah. You don't have to worry something if you get relegation, then it's okay. The upper division of Southeast Asia, big of surprise, a lot of surprise, a lot of big matchup, and also big match inside of the upper division. Let's start with a team that having a 0-win first, TNC Predator and OB Neon. Mamang Daya additional for OB Neon and TNC with the team that, I'm sorry to say, not trying to disrespect all the players. I know they are better player than me, but they're playing like I said on the opening on this episode, like just play our slot, John.
Yeah, it's rough for TNC especially. I think OB Neon's been. I don't know what's up with OB Neon. Honestly, they've had moments where they look great. Yes. I think I love UK. I think Abeng was a comfier choice for them in terms of communication. I do feel like UK should have been allowed to help the team out more, but maybe they felt like they'd be comfier with someone that could flex around for the majority of the team in terms of comms a little bit better. But a bit disappointed by that. I think for TNC, this was kind of expected. I think so this is where you can kind of bring in the OG story, right? Like you see OG. And we talked about Seb and No Tail behind the scenes kind of helping that new roster. You don't have that for TNC. It's not like Gabby's still there talking to the team. It's not like he's retired. It's not like Tim's is there helping them out. They're having to play against these players. They're having to play against Tim's. And those people that built up TNC before. So the guiding voice in TNC is Febby, which is great. You know, Febby's got these very creative ideas about Dota. But I think they're maybe not lined up in the meta. Like initially when we saw TNC come out on the Mineski Masters, they were running a lot of IO, they were running a lot of sustained pause fives. You know, their tempo is very different from a lot of teams. And I think when I interview Febby, when I interview TNC on what they're trying to do for Media Day, they always say that, you know, I think that's a good point for us because the enemy team doesn't know what to expect because we don't know what to expect from ourselves. But I think it's been tough for them to kind of adjust that. And to be fair, you know, both of these teams had a good run the Huya Cup recently, especially Neon. Neon won. So
that's what I'm going to
Neon
talk.
won.
That's what I'm going to talk and ask you some question. What is happened with OB Neon on the DBC season and on the third-party tournament, and they beat all the Chinese team like Mamang Daya beats Somnus on the mid lane and also win the grand final. Oh my god, they just like a different team on the outside the DBC season, and they just boom, different result. What's happened with OB Neon? I mean, is this I don't know. You first.
I think for Neon, and maybe for these inter-regional tournaments, it just shows you. Yeah, if I was cocky, I'd say that's just how good Southeast Asia is. I don't even know. I mean, I love Mamagdaya, but he beat out Emo and Somnus. I have no clue what's going on, and I think that's kind of ridiculous. But when you think about, say, DPC, I think a lot of Southeast Asian teams have been able to scrim Chinese teams. And as far as I know, when I talk to some players who are willing to tell me a bit of how that's going, they tend to have a pretty good time. I think Southeast Asian teams are very confident now against China teams. At least maybe all teams except LGD. Like probably the big bad wolf in the region. But beyond that, they've been really confident in their scrims. And I guess that reflected that. I don't know if Neon's managed to play that many scrims against Chinese teams though, considering that. But I think the region's just been able to improve, and there might be, you know, a factor when you play inter-regionally. There's always a weird ping factor there as well. So I don't know where the servers were hosted for Huya. Likely hosted in the Guangzhou servers, I think, or Shenzhen. Or I'm not sure where the servers are, but Guangzhou, I think, is a region there for the servers, and that's probably what they chose. Which would give the Chinese teams an advantage. At the same time, it's also not the closest server for them in China.
Okay.
So maybe that slight offset ping might be playing a better factor for Southeast Asian teams. But I think overall this just comes down to scrimmages. And C teams have been scrimming Chinese teams for a while now, at least the past year and a half, as far as I can remember. And it's been going well recently. Recently, I've heard been going pretty darn good. So maybe that's just coming out. You know, China as well, I think you have to consider that a lot of these Div 1 teams haven't really played. They've been stuck in quarantine in China for a while. So that could be a factor. Maybe for them, they're like, all right, we lost to this, but perhaps this is just a warm-up for us because we're rusty. They have not played in, like, what, 2-3 months? 2 months since TI. So
Since TI, yes.
that's a factor there as well in terms of comp play. They haven't played anything competitively, whereas Neon, even though they got smashed in Div 1, they've had a lot. They've had like 3 weeks worth of building up to that. Maybe even longer if you count the previous tournaments as well. So they've had more time to work together as a team. Yeah.
Okay. So, let's talk with the team that's supposed to become another gatekeeper of the Southeast Asia, Fnatic. When they announced all the roster with the 4 Philippine, 1 Thailand's, and they put back Japs again on the core position, DJ back to 4th position. Everyone expecting much better result, but right now Fnatic sitting with the 2 wins, 2 losses. What happened with Fanatics? Is this something that didn't going well, or maybe didn't the team that just building up the roster right before the main tournament start and they just didn't work out, or else?
You see, Fanatics is a funny story because everyone knew who was coming in like right after TI. Right,
Yes.
right. Everyone knew who was coming in. Everyone already knew because someone said it. Someone out there leaked. It got my friend very angry. I'm not gonna say who. It got him very mad, so he told me everything. And everyone knew that John Yuel and Armal would come in.
Yes.
The issue is the contracts they had would not let them play in Fnatic until the announcement. So when Fnatic made their official announcement, that's when they actually came into the team. It's not like Fnatic was holding back. But that's when the contracts were finalized and they were allowed to announce that they were on Fnatic. So they weren't actually playing together when we all knew. You know, when the rumors were out, they weren't playing together yet. And when you consider that, when you consider the build-up time for Fnatic, when that announcements were made and when the DPC came out, consider the fact that they skipped out in Pro Series. They did not have a time to build up their camaraderie and rapport as a team. They're kind of like in the talent situation where they've had these core players play together for a while. They're bringing in new additions. And they're great individual players. John Yuel is an excellent pos 5 who has interesting ideas on the game. Armel's an amazing mid, especially in the time we saw him in TNC. But the equation isn't balanced because they haven't had time to work it out. So I think for Fnatic, this isn't the result I expected to an extent. At the same time, it just shows you how competitive Div 1 is. Div 1 is a scary spot for C.
Yeah.
Even though Div 2 is maybe even scarier because of how insane Div 2 is, but even Div 1 is very tight. Like, you've got Fnatic in the middle of the pack, you've got Execration kind of bouncing back up, right? After, like, Kimizu, this unknown factor, was placed in the offlane after Omega was just smashed out because of certain things they did. And, you know, they lost their player because he was from Omega. Execration's looking good. You know, I think it's a factor if Fnatic didn't play together as a team for long, and Southeast Asia is a region where you can't really afford to play like that. You can't afford to make these experimental changes as we've seen with TNC, as we've seen with Neon swapping everything around, as we've seen with Talon. Stability is playing a big part right now in allowing C to play strong.
Okay, so before we move to another team, I'm gonna talk about MTG, Motivated Trust Gaming. I think MTG just said it on my previous episode of podcast with the Jackie, and Jackie just said we're just unlucky. We're expecting much better on the rest of the season, of course. And he said like I'm doing my best. And are you agree with me, John? If I said Jackie need a better team, it's just opinion.
I wouldn't agree. I think Motivate Trust, this team is actually really solid. What's the issues of Motivate Trust, man? Because it changes every time.
Yes.
It changes every time when me and Mike cast.
It
like
is.
sometimes their laning phase they go like 0-10 or like something dumb 0-7 by the first 10 minutes and then they win. And sometimes they're like 10-0 in the first 10 minutes and then they lose. So I think I don't know. I don't know what's up with Motivate. I love all of them. They're all my they're all friends to an extent. Like Jackie, Fearless, Gotcha Boy, Masaros. They're all great players as well. I don't know what to say. What's wrong? Because a lot of people will point to Jackie's hero pool. I don't think his hero pool's too small. They're just not expanding. And to be fair, like I think the meta has been very static with a lot of pos ones. Like there's not a lot of room. Like the patch has been, a kind word to say is stale. It's been stale for me for the past year. It's kind of been unchanged for a year. And if you kind of want to look at how the game's been played, to an extent, the past 2 years has been almost the same meta-wise for Dota 2. Like overall meta strategy, not actual competitive meta. It's kind of been almost the same mindset. I think for Motivated Trust, I don't know. I did expect more from them. At the same time, they lost to Boom, which is like, yeah, Boom is Boom right now. They're insane. Losing to SMG might be a bit more of a downer, but it's not the end of the world because SMG is also a strong team and do manage to get their cards right. I think for Motivate, it used to be what I thought their problem was. They were playing in too many tournaments. Okay. Same with old Obi Neon. Remember when Scam and Yopaj were there? They were playing like a million tournaments. Same with Motivate. So I think for Motivate, they need to kind of roll back in that because I think when you play so much, you give so many teams information on how you play. Like everyone knows what to ban against Jackie. Everyone knows what to ban against Gotcha Boy and Masteros, and it just makes it easier to play against.
Okay, funny fact, when Boom Esport meets MTG, Boom Esport just ban all the carry hero, right? Yeah,
they just banned Jackie out.
They just banned Jackie heroes, and yeah, the result is as you're expecting, I guess the Boom gonna win it. But I think let's move to another team that maybe the team that have most experience. All of the teams, Mid One, Moon, Afu. There's 3 players that play on the TI with the previous season, of course, and they just sitting with the 2 wins and 2 losses, and they just win against team MTG and also wins against Fnatic, and they lose against Boomy Sport 0-2, win 0-2, and lose again 0-2 against T1. Before we move to Boomy Sport and T1 as a team that maybe I kind of tell you a little bit story after this one, but yeah, how about SMG, John? I mean, they have a lot of experience that didn't work out for them. It's almost the second years of them, right?
Yeah, it's been going into their second year now as a team. Yeah, going into the second year as a team. So the core of it's been together for a while. In fact, 4 of them have been together for a while. They only really lost KP for Raging Potato, but Raging Potato was already pretty much in touch with him. Like I think I've seen Raging. He knows Orin quite well, so he's been playing around with those stacks for a while. He's a very comfy addition. I was talking to, I believe, Mid One, where he said he was very confident in Raging's ability. Like I asked him what's the secret ingredient to SMG. He said, we have a Pinoy offlaner, we're gonna be good. With SMG, this is more in line with my expectations. They're a team that can really pop off, but there are also games where they kind of just drop weird. And having almost the same result as Motivate Trust is kind of what I expect. They both came from lower div. They're both to the same level. I would give Motivate Trust a slight edge, although SMG did beat them out. But I think they're on around the same power level. And this is about the position I expect SMG. They did look good beating out Fnatic, but Fnatic again have those issues in the back end. That SMG, they've been playing again together almost consistently for a year. So they don't really have anything to kind of compensate for team-wise, whereas Fnatic had a lot to compensate for. Going forward, I don't think they're really going to be... I say that, but actually I do think SMG and Motivate Trust are going to be the contenders for that 3rd spot, right? Wow. Like for the majors. So I think Boom T1 are going to be lock-ins for majors already. And the 3rd place spot is going to be between SMG, Motivate Trust, and maybe Execration. Like there's a upset chance for Execration. I think Fnatic, I don't know if they can sort out the issues, because this feels like, in my opinion, when I look at Fnatic and trying to grind out for that 3rd spot, it feels like the same issues we saw from Fnatic as an org before DPC kicked off. Like when we were already having online tournaments, and
I get it.
We didn't split up. We had Savage playing there, tossed around in and out. We had Ice. It felt like there's a mismatch with how certain individual players want to play. At least that's the feel I see when you watch some of their games. Like the ideas clash on a fundamental level, and I think that's something that's very hard to fix. So I'm not too hopeful that Fnatic can sort that out, but maybe. I think it's been a long-standing issue for Fnatic's lineup for a while. So I think when it comes down to it, SMG and Motivate Trust are looking more likely for third place.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so let's talk about team that maybe the match that everyone expecting to be held as soon as possible, John. T1s and also Boom Esport. Boom Esport, you say that the biggest winner of the reshuffle on the Southeast Asia, and and they prove it. And they prove it. 4-0 right now on the DBC season, and also they sitting on the top position just because T1 just only play a 2 series, right? But I think having a 4 match earlier than your opponent is kind of major effect to boost your mentality, right, for Boom Esport. But T1 is being T1. They didn't split up. They keep the rooster. They lock the rooster. They're playing good together. And some of the Indonesian shotcaster said that T1 is getting better and better. Like the team that you're not gonna beat them easily, or maybe they kind of slip one single game on the one series to give you one games. That's not kind of team of T1 right now, because if we're comparing T1 right now and on the last season with the last season of T1, I think T1 still kind of, yeah, you can take one game from me, but this time I'm not gonna give you the one game series. I mean, yeah. Well, how about T1 first, John?
I think I'd agree. They have improved massively, which is a huge relief to me, because I think everyone knew, you know,
yeah.
When you look at the past season for T1, sometimes they just lose, and you're like, why did you lose that? What the hell happened? What did you guys do? And it just be so confusing. So my wish post TI, and I said this while casting open qualifiers right when March came in. I said March needed to whip them in shape, because we heard from Cuckoo, you know, we heard what they do. They watch anime, they relax, they play other games. We all know they were playing something else. We all know they were playing Valorant. We know this.
Yes.
If not Valorant, they were playing CS like the year before. So we know these guys mess around. I mean, they're great players. You don't want them to burn out, but at the same time, you gotta focus on the Dota a bit. You know, you've got to play Dota if you're a professional, and I think it's been working out. They've been playing a lot more. They've been much more. I talked to Cuckoo. He's like, yeah, it's focus time. They're definitely locked in. They're focused, and it's showing. It's very early to say. I mean, 2-0 is a good start, but it's still very early for them. So we've got to see if they can keep building that momentum. But I think overall, they have improved individually, especially Carl. I'll be frank. I wasn't, you know, I would always point to Carl as the weak link for T1, because it just felt like when your mid laner's known for Doom, you know, compare that to say Yopaj being known for Storm, for Ember, for Wind Ranger, Sand King. Compare that to Carl, who's known for Doom right now. It just doesn't feel like a very impactful mid. You know, it's not like the game-setting mid. It's the mid that farms. And I think Carl's really improved and proved the point away. I mean, he's still been playing Doom here and there, but he's expanded his pool successfully, because we've seen him switch out to different mids, and it's like, you know, kind of, it has improved substantially. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Carl. I think because Carl's improved so much, the rest of T1's improved massively, and that's an improvement from TI. Like in TI, everyone on T1 was saying Carl was improving a lot. And I think that point is being proven now. Right now, I do see that improvement, and I think as long as that holds steady, the rest of the team can build around it and just keep going off that momentum. Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned before that this match between Boom Esport and T1 is expected to be held like as soon as possible, because on the Wikipedia it's not there on the for the schedule. We still don't know when this happens, when this match gonna be happens on the rest of the season. And let me tell you a bit story inside of Boom Esport and also T1. I don't know on the T1, because I'm working in a Boom Esport. A lot of brands. I cannot say what brands and how many brands, but a lot of brands are lobbying us, like, want to do a show match. I mean, like, there's so many brands that want to watch this match, like Boom Esport versus T1, because they are the best two teams right now in the Southeast Asia right now. I mean, yeah, that's the hype is kind of built up right now for the rest of the season for the DPC Winter right now, and yep, I think this match gonna be a big super whatever mega watch time on when it happens, okay. And yeah, Boomy Sport right now, I mean, John, this is kind of finger snap result that Gary Onko wants when he recruiting this all Philippines player and keeping one single Indonesian player for Bumi Sport, or is this just just going as they want, because someone said, especially in Indonesia, not trying to discredit Tino, but someone just said in Indonesia that whoever the carry is on the Bumi Sport, they're gonna shine up. They're gonna play a good game. They're not gonna looks bad when even when Bumi Sport playing lose game or maybe lose a series. The carry player not gonna get any spotlight, because the carry player of Bumi Sport is the one that they're looking for, completing all the rooster, not become the shining player. Is that correct for you, John?
I think so. I think there was always the risk that if Boom came out with a pause one and didn't shine, he would be the scapegoat, because Boom, before that, Pro Series, right? They had Scam kind of jumping from 1 to 5. They had Coach Mushi playing. It was insanity. They played well. And I think it's actually the opposite. It's not that if whoever the pause one is, they fail, it's going to look bad. I think the thing that actually happened is, no matter who your pause one was, Boom will always enable him. Okay. And just because the rest of your team is so insanely good at making that space, that no matter what pause one you are, you're gonna have space, you're gonna have farm, you're gonna have impact from these 4 players running around, from Yopaj creating havoc on mid, from the rotations out, from Scam and Tims, from FBZ being a god on the offlane, pressuring that safe lane. There's a lot of ways for Boom to just enable literally anyone on the one. And there were lots of doubts about Tino. You know, I'll be frank that I was one of the people who was a bit disappointed in Gary's choice in Tino, because I didn't feel like it was an upgrade over, say, Palos. I don't think it was a major upgrade over Palos. I think if it came down to it, Palos might be individually the better core. But again, I don't think that's what Boom needed. I think they really just needed a player they jived with, talking to everyone on the team. Tino is a person they get along with really well. And I think for Boom, they didn't need someone who shines. They just needed someone who would play along with him. You know, that they can enable, that understands the game the same way they do. Okay. And just execute on that. And I think Tino is the perfect fit. He's not bad by any means, but he's certainly not he's not like an Abed kind of pickup. He's not like another Yopaj or something. But he still performs to that high level. And the best thing is he knows what everyone else wants to do despite being a new team member. So I think that's the key for Boom. They're just an excellent team. Okay. Individually, they are amazing. But as a team, I don't know if I've seen any other team in the region just come close as a team. Like T1's probably close there, but again, not enough games played. But Boom, insane, just insane coming out there.
Boom is insane, guys. John said it, not me. Okay, I'm not trying to overproud my country from Boom Sport, but John said, guys. John said. Okay, so last question of upper division or Division 1. I know it's kind of hard to pick friends for TNC Predator, because I believe TNC Predator gonna drop to the lower division, on my opinion, because based on their result. But who's gonna with TNC to drop on the lower division, John? I mean, Opinion, Execration, SMG, Motivated Trust. Who is it?
Oh, that's a toughie. That's a toughie, because
that's why I'm asking, John. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, so first off, I don't see Fnatic, Motivate Trust, or SMG dropping. I don't see any of them getting demoted. Okay. When it comes down to it, I think they are going to be able to stay in. So that leaves, oddly enough, the question of Execration or Neon. And when it comes to that, I think, in as much as I really want to see Neon succeed, I think Execration has been improving a lot faster than Neon has. I think, again, the addition of Kimizu on the offlane, while a bit odd, like he's a very young player, he's from a different region of the Philippines. He doesn't really speak their language well, based on the interview, because he only learned Filipino, like Tagalog, recently. And before that, he was speaking Bisaya, which was different, right? So and they've improved despite that. It's just hard to say because I think I want to say Neon on paper might actually be the better team.
Okay.
Like with the players they have, I think on paper, Neon could arguably be the better team,
Okay.
but the results don't match. Like
Yeah.
0-3
0 to
is going to
3.
be hard to climb out of. So I think it's more likely Neon stays down and Execration stays middle of the pack. Again, there's still a bit of a fight among these four teams, like
Okay.
Execration, Fnatic, MTG, and SMG for the last major wildcard slot. And that one's a bit of a toss-up, because I think what we're seeing here is lock-ins for first and lock-ins for last, in my opinion. I think we are going to see Boom and T1 at majors.
Of
Whoever
course.
first or second doesn't just kind of switches around. We're probably going to see Neon and TNT eliminated into the lower div. The question is now, where all the flexibility comes in is actually for the wildcard slot.
Okay.
I don't see Execration getting eliminated. I think BDZ and RR are one of the best support duos from the Philippines. Probably are. Like BDZ and RR are
They're
just
playing
insane.
great. They're playing great.
They're insane. Like BDZ, Earth Spirit, and Rubik, it's just, we love seeing it when we cast it. Like we know we're in for a good time even if the team doesn't win. And think Execration's likely to keep that slot over Neon. So unfortunate. I mean, I love Mamang Dai. I love UK. I wish UK was still there. But I think Neon's not gonna last in Div 1. I'm sorry, Mamang Dai. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think that's reasonable because the result of the three first match of the OB Neon had is not as good as they should be, John. I mean, like 0-3 with the Rooster. That for me on the paper they should become on maybe on the mid of the table, but they on the bottom two. I mean, it's kind of shocking. Mamang Daya finally get their shape right now after the Huya tournament, and I kind of expecting that result. Also, they take that result to make a better result on the DBC season for the rest of the season. I think, John.
Yeah. Like I hope it does improve, but not much left there. Not much games left,
I
unfortunately.
think they have four more match. Is that correct?
Yeah.
4 more matches.
I think the issue is, like, again, their likely head-to-head competition for elimination is more than likely Execration.
Yeah.
And in that head-to-head, Execration already beat them. So I think when that comes down to waiting, that's like a tiebreaker already, because there's a very clear head-to-head win in a two-way tiebreaker. I'm not sure. I'm not an admin. I don't know the rules, but I would assume the head-to-head counts for that break in the ranking. So it's hard for Neon. I think if Execration stay in form, it's very hard unless Neon manages to beat
every
Fnatic,
single.
Motivate Trust, or like literally everyone. Then it's gonna be tough, which is a shame because I love watching Daya's mid. His Darkseer mid, his Bristleback mids were all great. I miss seeing that, but
That kid is amazing, John.
I know. Oh yeah.
That kid is amazing. He's still young. He's having a lot of hero pool, and young is still major factor in here in Indonesia as a pro player, as a mid player especially. You have a lot of career journey that you can explore whatever you want. Okay. John, thank you so much for talking. I think it's a lot of part of the videos that I have to make from this conversation with the podcast. Thank you so much, John. And
thank you.
Yep, I wish you nothing but best perform on the rest of the seasons, John.
Thank you for having me, and hope you have a great 2022. It's always nice talking to you, Dejet.
Okay, thank you so much, John. See you next time on the next topic. Bye.
Bye.